What is up, and welcome back to another episode of the Girl Gains podcast. I'm Amber P.
I'm Alexis Adams.
And Callie. And Callie's here with us today.
She's bored, so she wants to participate.
She's mad at her mama right now. For today's episode, y'all, we just chatting. It's going to be a random one. So get ready if you're doing cardio, if you're driving, you're cleaning the house. We don't have any notes, so that's how you know it's going to be a good one. And prepare to laugh. So I'm going to kick this off because I was at Junior Nats last weekend, and oh my goodness, what a show, what a show, what a show. I saw a few things, but one thing that I saw in particularly, and this is with bikini, and this is not me, I'm not trying to come for anyone's necks. I'm not. But you guys, you got to understand, when you are coming to these national shows, you gotta come correct. I saw a lot of girls who were just like, from the front, I'm like, yes, give it to me. But then from the back, it was like, oh no, what happened? And you cannot go off of just your front shot, especially like if you've been competing for some time, right? You know what I mean? It's like if you've done at least 2 national shows now, you know what to expect. But I think just like the level of conditioning, which I understand, like, yes, there is a criteria. You don't want to be too lean, but I did see a lot of girls where it was from the front, it was nailed, but then from the back, I was like, oh no, what happened? And I saw that across the board with bikini and wellness. I don't know if you saw some of the wellness girls too.
Yeah, and I think it's part of the learning process, and I'll get into like my thoughts on why it's like that. One, the back for women is hard to get off the fat.
Mm-hmm.
So like, hi, hello, I have been the girl who looks way different from the front than the back. Been there, done that. Um, and I can tell you that once you figure out how to find that next level of suffering, things get so much better as far as like your placing and how you're doing in shows. And if you're going to suffer going into a show, and suffer I use loosely because we choose to do this, y'all. But
Right.
if you are going to go through all of the work to get to a show, do all of it. Don't start pausing. And I've seen this with posing clients of my own. You get to about 6 or 8 weeks out and you're looking phenomenal and things stall, because that's when it gets hard. That's when you start kind of getting tired, especially if your planned prep is like 20 weeks, you're 12 to 14 weeks in, things are getting rough. It's even more monotonous than off season. And then cardio goes up, you're already tired, you don't really want to do it, and things start slacking and they're not clicking as much. If that is you, fix it. That's the only solution. You have to figure it out. But I also think, and I know I've had girls message me asking my opinion, and where like, it's flattering going into a show, you want me to give you my feedback, but understand also that I am not your coach. So if you're messaging me and you're messaging other pros or other people within the industry that you look up to, you have too many opinions in the pot. And that's also a risk, because I can tell you, and I've had girls who I think didn't love the feedback that I gave them, I'm not going to blow smoke up your butt. And
Yeah.
my clients know that. I had someone message me yesterday and was like, can you give me an idea of like timeline? And I'm like, girlfriend, we got to build muscle. It's like, I don't have a timeline for you. It depends on how fast your body builds muscle. And like, we'll assess it as we go, but I can't give you 8 weeks we'll be here, because we may or may not be. And it's like, if you're asking me if I think you will turn pro, very few people am I going to say yes. Because it depends on who shows up. It depends on how you come in, how you peak. It depends on the muscle, which the majority of girls do not have the muscle. There's become a trend where it's like, I want to get my feet wet. And that's not a thing. And I know people say that it is. And in the past, I have said, if that's truly what you believe, go ahead and do it. The more that I see it, it's not true. People say that because that's the right thing to say for social media. And then you get up there, you get second call outs, and you have a piss poor attitude coming off stage and on social media. It's rigged, it's politics, blah, blah, blah. And like, y'all, You are looking at a girl who had a coach that no one really knew his name, someone who didn't really know my name, working as a full time nurse, not dove into the bodybuilding scene, and placed fourth at the Arnold on my second pro show. Like, politics, kiss my tail. Like,
Yeah.
if that is like, that excuse will completely shut down me as far as like giving you legitimate feedback. Because I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, you're not going to listen anyway because you were just making excuses.
Yeah.
Um, but I think like you're spending a lot of money on national shows. Give it all you've got and try to put people in your corner that are going to be honest with you. If you have a coach that's promising that you're going to get a pro card, that is a severe red flag.
Hmm.
They should believe in
I
you. They shouldn't be like, no one can promise that. You don't know who's coming.
Yeah, it doesn't work that way. If you got feedback that you don't like, it's probably feedback that you needed to hear. It's bodybuilding, that's their job. A lot of you think you have muscle and you don't. And again, this is not being harsh, this is just bodybuilding. And also for the bikini girls, I think some people don't understand the muscle that's needed. I think because bikini has the least muscle out of all divisions, they assume they don't need much muscle. You need muscle for bikini, and it's got to be placed in the right areas, and it's got to be very strategic. Like bikini is its own entity within the bodybuilding space, but something that I have definitely changed my mind on, and again, this is not to be harsh, I am at a place now off of just my own personal journey, listening to y'all, watching other people. I don't believe that bodybuilding should be a bucket list thing because bodybuilding is extreme. If you want to be fit and you want to be healthy, that's fine. Understand that being fit and being healthy is here. Bodybuilding and competing is up here. You don't need to come all the way up here because you have to surpass this to get up here. And putting yourself through it and you don't understand what you're getting yourself into, it can leave you with some disordered eating habits if you aren't truly aware of what's happening and what's going on. I do not think that bodybuilding should be something where it's a bucket list. I don't think a national show should be a bucket list. Like, it's a lot. It's a lot on the body. And I think what happens is people start off with, oh, I want it to be a bucket list, and then they get into it, and then they go and they get their ish kicked in, and they want to talk shit about it. And it's like, no, hold on.
Yeah, and even so, like, it kind of was a bucket list thing for me. It wasn't something that I was like, I always wanted to try to compete in bodybuilding, but it was something where it's like,
Let me
what I'm
try and
doing now
see.
is not working. Practice wasn't successful. So I was
Yeah.
like, I want to compete in something. Bodybuilding is like close because, like, people around me did it. So I knew I had easy access to information of how to get started and how to make it happen. Um, and then I loved it and I fell in love with it and I still do it. I didn't know what it would lead to, though. Like
Right.
financially, we talked about that where it's like, oh, this is a little bit more than I thought. As far
Hmm.
as long term and like mentally, it's a lot more than anyone can really prepare for. That's why we say like your family doesn't get it if they don't compete. You can't get it until
Yeah.
you've competed. Um, so I think that there's like a gray area there because it is hard to explain to a brand new competitor, you don't want to do this unless you are sure. Because it's
Yeah.
also hard to be sure until you've done it. So there's kind of like an oxymoron there, but you have to be aware of the risks at least. You're risking falling in love with it and being obsessed because in order
Hmm.
to be successful in this sport, your life revolves around bodybuilding. It is not bodybuilding revolves around or the other way around.
Yeah. I think maybe I'll say it like this. Obviously, like if you're thinking about it, you got to try it to see if you like it, right? There's nothing wrong with it. But if you're going into it, it's like, oh, it's just a bucket list thing. This is a lot of time, a lot of dedication, a lot of money for a bucket list thing. Like this, and that's why I don't think this is extreme for it to just be a bucket list. So I think that's a separate thing. If it's something you've been thinking about, you're genuinely interested, you want to give it a fair shot, cool. But I'll tell you this, things that are on my bucket list, they're not expensive, they don't make me hungry, they don't make me cry.
Or they're like experiences that are a
Yeah.
one-time payment. Like,
Mhm.
I want to go see the Eiffel Tower or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yes. Yeah.
Those are fine. But like, this is a complete lifestyle change. It's going to overhaul the way that you go about your day. It's
Mhm.
very much something to give more thought into other than I want to get on stage in a sparkly bikini.
Yeah, it's
Because you're also
invasive.
gross, embarrassing, and ain't showered in 2 days.
Mhm. It's invasive. Uh-uh. And then, you know, social media, you can't and again, I'm with Alexis because some of y'all have asked me my thoughts. And again, please understand, we're going to give it to you straight, no chaser. But you also have to keep in mind that the judges have the front row seat. And I think sometimes what people get confused is you can't take what you see for face value in a picture because the judges are watching you move. And that is a huge component of it. So sometimes someone will say, oh, well, look at this girl, look at that girl. And in my mind, because I've been doing it and looking at it for so long, I understand what you're saying. But at the same time, how are they moving on stage? Because
Yes.
maybe when you
And
move, something
also,
jiggled, or maybe there was a striation. Like, there's just so many things.
yeah, and like the more that I go to shows in person, the more that I realize people like to say, well, it's a photo, so like even if it's altering how the conditioning appears, it's altering everyone. But everyone does not translate in photos the same. It depends on your skin color and texture,
Mhm.
but both ways. So like if you're very dark skinned in a photo, you do not see the skin texture and conditioning the same way
Right.
that you see it on stage. Like Samson and Andrew Jack, like you do not
Mhm.
see how their conditioning is in a photo the way you see it in person. Same thing is the opposite side. If you are very pale, there is only so dark that a tan can get you.
Right.
And then in a photo, that tan still doesn't translate as dark as it does in person. So, like, someone who's light can look way more conditioned or even lose that skin texture because they're so light in comparison
Mhm.
to someone who's kind of middle of the road. Um, and I'm seeing that more so, like, the more that I go to shows where I'm like, I see things in person and then I see photos and I'm like, this kind of flips how the
Yeah.
people looked in person. Like,
Yeah.
number two looks better than number one. Look at all them balloons. But, like, number one in the photo looks better. It's just, it doesn't translate. So, of course, we can't all be at everything in person. So
Right.
we have to look at pictures. But you cannot put your opinion of a picture over the judge's opinion in person. It does not work.
Mhm.
You are not correct if you are saying that. You're incorrect.
Yeah.
That is black
Well,
and white. There's not
it
very
was kind
many
of
things that
this
are black and white, but that is.
right. It was the same thing like after Toronto when you were like, what do you think? And I'm telling you what I'm seeing over a live stream. Over a live stream. And I said, however, keep in mind Martin's there, he can see you. So go off of that eye versus what I'm seeing on a blurry live stream. And there I've been at shows plenty of times where I was there watching the show with my eyes close up, and then I see the stage shot and I'm like, well, that's not at all how it looked. Okay. So
Yeah,
please
and it can be
always
one way
keep
or
that
the
in
other. Like they look better or they look worse.
mind.
Looking worse in photo than in person sucks.
It
Um,
does. It does.
but it's also frustrating if like it's you or it's someone that like you're friends with, you have like connection with, and they look better than the other. But
Hmm.
then the internet sees the opposite, just the way that the photo translates on the photo. Like I've seen it where I'm like looking at the photo, I'm like,
Hmm.
Betsy does look better than JoJo in the photo, but
Yes.
JoJo looked better in person. And it's
Yeah.
frustrating because you cannot, for the life of you, convince an internet person that the in-person stuff looks better.
Never, ever. And it's so true because that's how I felt in my pro debut. I hated the way my stage photos looked. I looked just like a blob, a soft mess. But then when I look at the videos you guys got of me, I looked hard as a rock. So I was just kind of like, okay, I give up. I give up.
Yeah. And that's why, like, I love having photos and videos as soon as I get off stage so I can kind of like
Hmm.
see. But then also, I'm like, this means nothing. Like, this tells me nothing.
Nothing. Tells me nothing.
And
When I saw the
what
photo, I
is
was like, "Eek."
if your coach, and this is something that I've started to believe this season as well, because like you guys know, in the past Nelson has been at almost every single one of my shows ever, so he's there in person and can assess in real time,
Right.
whereas Stefan doesn't. He lives in Austria, he does not live here, and he does not come to every show in America.
Mm-mm.
So like when I saw him in New York before my show and he saw me in person, he was like, let's do a sooner show. Like, what's a sooner show than Toronto? And I was
Yeah.
like, what? But he's like, it looks different in person. But then at my show, that was like, I had seen him peak others from afar. So I knew that he was capable of it. But still, for me, I'm like, I haven't done this before. But he was still like, he was messaging Martin, this is what I see in the photos and in the live
Mm-hmm.
stream. What do you see? And
Yes,
if you have a coach that's not there in person, they do need to have contact with someone who is there.
I agree.
In an ideal world, someone who understands how to describe what you look like
Mm-hmm.
not your sister's best friend or anything, but like um as a brand new amateur, you might not have that person and you might have to do trial and error. But if you've been in the game for a little bit, hopefully your coach will listen to someone in person as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, whether it's your husband, your significant other, a friend who also competes, who is just looking at you and is like, I know that your coach said that you're soft, but everything looks tight to me. Let's try
Right.
different lighting. Like something like that, because in person is always different, whether it's better or worse.
100%. 100%. And so while we're talking about looking at things on social media, Alexis has a social media rant. Go. Etiquette. Go for it.
Guys, be conscious of what and when you are messaging people. I try to respond to all of my DMs. I love and have always loved everyone's support. We've said that this is a small community that's very spread out. So like there's not a ton of people who do what I do near me, but there's easy connection via Instagram and social media. That can be a positive thing for the most part. Um, but be conscious. Like if a person is one day out, don't be messaging them where did they get their jeans,
Yeah.
because their DMs are already blown up with like congratulations, can't wait, we're rooting for you, what's the live stream, what color
Mm-hmm.
suit are you wearing? Everyone wants to know all the things, and that's just how it is. But like keep it relevant to what's going on, you know. Um, don't message. I don't like. I can't remember any specifics, and I'm not calling anyone out. There's just
Right.
some things where I'm like, this is not, I don't have brain power. I'm a day
Mm-hmm.
out. There's no food. They're like,
So
what?
nothing.
Why are you asking me cognitive important information that I can't give you right now? And I don't want to leave you on red. So now I feel guilty. And it's just like, eh. Also, use your resources. And this is for yesterday specifically. I got the energy drink thing from Starbucks. Um, Taylor, I'm going to call you out. So, if you guys saw what I was drinking, I am like fighting some allergies, I think, but just in case it's illness, made like a immune system concoction.
Yeah, grandma remedy.
I've been using some Morphogen products to like help my adrenals and just kind of make sure that I'm reset for everything. So, there was one, I forget the name of it. I could go look, but I'm not going to. Um, there's one, let me go look.
Go for it.
I got this supplement um, that it's called adaptogen. It just helps, like, um, let's see what it says, adrenal support, neuro enhancing complex. So I got it to like help my brain and all of that when like I'm post show and everything's pretty much clicking and brain fog's gone, but I was just looking for like extra support. And I've used it before. I used the vanilla. It was absolutely disgusting. So I got
Um,
the Dutch chocolate this time, and it's better. So Taylor put it in her coffee, put on her story, oh, this is so good in my coffee. So I put it in my coffee. Nasty. ruined my coffee.
Yeah.
So I messaged and was like, I copied you and this is gross and now my coffee's ruined. So then she sent me like a $10 for to pick up coffee.
How
So I go to
sweet.
Starbucks and I treat myself. Yes, it was very nice. And they had just announced that they had those like energy drink refreshers. So I got like the citrus passion fruit one. It has like 200 milligrams of caffeine, but only
Mhm.
5 calories. So it's just like an Americano, but it's iced and like fruity, like a summer drink. It's amazing. I think it's
Ooh.
going to be a problem this prep. They're $6,
Ooh.
so I might be. I need to. It's double what an Americano costs, but it tastes so good. But I can't get it every
Interesting.
day. But it's going to be hard not to get it every day.
Yeah.
So I put in my story like, "Thank you, Taylor." I don't remember exactly what I wrote, but when I post my coffee, I know you guys like to know what it is. I try to be clear about like the hacks that work for me. So I post it with the sticker. If you read the sticker, you know what I got. You know everything's in it. If there's any extra vanilla shots or anything, right? Why did you guys message me asking me what I got?
You know
That
the
drives me
you know
crazy.
the meme when the girl's like, "That's how I feel."
Yes. And it happened to Taylor. Like I posted, thank you so much. She reposted it on her story. And then she's messaging me like, what everyone's messaging me, asking me what you got. And I'm like, it's on the cup. And she's like, I know, it's driving me nuts. And I was like, it's not just me, guys. Like, if it's not there, of course, message. I don't mind. But like
Yes.
use your resources. If I throw up something and I put the link with my code, don't message me responding me to that story, asking me what my code is when the code is on the post. Read
You
the
know,
caption. Like just use your resources a little bit, and that is what helps not bog down the DM so that I can respond. And this is not calling anyone out.
no.
It's just bringing to your attention what can be frustrating, especially when you are like, I know a lot of influencers, not saying that I am one, but I know a lot of influencers don't respond to DMs at all.
Right.
And like, no matter who you are, I've messaged people recently and they don't respond. And I'm like, we've talked backstage at shows. Like, I don't feel like I'm a complete stranger. You know, but some people just don't. So it is
Mhm.
frustrating when you do try to like get people the information that they want.
Mhm.
Um, when it's just like you're being lazy. That's lazy.
And so that happens to me a lot because y'all know I love putting you on a game with all the beauty things, the hair, the makeup, the skin, right? And I feel for the most part, I'm pretty good about putting everything there. I kid you not. There was one day I think I was talking about a shampoo or something. I don't know. In salon, I literally like I took a picture of it. It's there. You can see everything visible. And someone messages, "Where do you get it from?" Y'all, we walk around with the internet in our pocket at all times. All you had to do was put Redken extreme length in the Google, and baby, it's gonna pop up. So it's just kind of like I'm doing the groundwork for you. I'm sharing my professional thoughts. You have the picture of the product. I just personally, if you have shown me a picture of the product, I'm not gonna hold you and ask you where to get it from because I can Google.
Yes, it's like and like you guys know you can get things from different places. So it don't
Yeah,
have to only be Ulta. It can be
no,
Ulta, Sephora, Amazon, Walmart.
absolutely. Yes,
Just
yes,
find
yes,
a place
yes.
near you.
Yeah, or it'll happen to me a lot. Someone will want me to do basically like a full on consultation with them via DMs. We're not doing that. You got to pay me. Like what you're not about to hustle me via DMs for me to give you your skincare routine, your products for your foundation, all the way down to the shade. You're like we're not doing it.
Yes, or like what was your coach's approach for peaking? When you're a coach and you're really just picking brains so that you have more information, why don't you
Mhm.
ask my coach? Like, it's one thing when I give general information about how we did
Right.
things differently because, like, I do think that that's helpful. But as far as like specific information to gain almost like financial gain for yourself, that's too
Mhm.
far, y'all. Just like you're
That's
not like
ignorant.
you can't send me posing videos asking for feedback when I have a service that is for you to send me posing videos and get feedback. I'm
It's
not just going to do
rude.
it for free. You
Yeah.
know, it is rude. And just what is the word?
Be mindful.
Yeah,
Be
be
mindful.
cognizant. Like
Yeah.
you are not the only person that exists.
Right. Especially when it comes to people that do provide services. Is like I said, it's one thing, like if you ask me like one-off question or what are my thoughts or opinions or something, but like if someone is saying, "Hey Alexis, can I have, posing feedback," it's kind of like, okay, yes, but not really, because I have a service. Or, hey Amber, what foundation shade should I be using for my stage glam? It's like, y'all, like that's what I do for you know what I mean. And so it's just kind of like, be mindful, because I don't know. And maybe we're more mindful because we are service providers, and again, it's not to be mean, it's to make you aware. It's to make you aware.
Yeah, and
Like,
there's some things that are appropriate. Like I've had
mhm.
girls on posing sessions, I will give them advice like you need to cut your hair or
Yes.
this is not a good suit color or things like that.
Mhm.
And like I had someone recently who was like had hair extensions. It's their first time using them. They're not sure whether they need to wash them or not. I'm like, I don't know.
Wash.
There's no extensions going in this head.
Yeah.
But I'll find out,
Yeah.
And so I'm like, hey, Amber, first time using hair extensions for show. Do you wash them? Do you not wash them?
Yeah.
That I think is appropriate. That's a quick
Absolutely.
response.
Yeah.
But it's not like, what color hair extensions
Y
should I get? Or,
yeah.
like,
Something that's
I,
very, very detailed to where it takes a
yeah,
lot
like
of
specific
yeah.
to you. Yeah, no, that's not appropriate.
Absolutely. And then, especially too, like, if you're someone who never has interacted with me ever, and you're just blasting off immediately like, "Hey, help me." No, if you're someone who has interacted with me, like I can scroll up and see there's conversations, you're liking things, I am absolutely going to be more prone to helping you. And if you happen to post something, if I see like a suit color or your hair is too long, I'm like, hey, change this. This color is going to be better on you.
And like, I don't think it's not like you just have to be like conscious of what you're asking and what may or may not come back. So like
Hmm.
or like what would you expect in this scenario? So I had someone who like Amber and I are mutual friends with. I messaged Amber and I was like, here's my scenario I need help with and I don't really know how to go about it. And she's like, message this person. So I messaged the person and I'm like, hey, I don't know where to go with this. I would rather ask someone that I'm somewhat familiar with than a complete stranger. I understand that if I need to pay for your time, I will pay for your time. Here's my
Right.
question.
Right. Right. That's
It's
how
like
you do it.
because it's like I understand guys that you feel connected to us or you feel
Mhm.
connected to your influencers that you followed, bodybuilders that you aspire to be like. That's completely fine. So it does feel more comfortable in those scenarios to message those people than message a stranger or just Google
Right.
it and kind of wing it on your own. We have literally advised against Googling bodybuilding stuff because
Mhm.
it's not
Not
probably
Googleable.
you're not going to get legitimate information.
Mm-mm.
um,
Mm-mm.
but also understand that like a lot of the things that you are asking questions about come down to a business of some sort. And some things are appropriate to give advice on, and some things are like, well, I need more information. And if they
Yeah.
need more information, it's a back and forth situation that's a little bit more in depth.
Yeah, like it's one thing. It was like, "Hey, Amber, do you like this eyeshadow with my suit?" That's a yes or no. You know what I mean? But it's not, "Hey, like, what brushes should I be using? How do I apply? What other colors?" Like that's more details. And like Alexis, you said it perfectly. I get it. People that you're comfortable with, but again, it's the same thing for me. If I do need help with something, and I know there's a person, I'm gonna say, "Hey, can I have your thoughts? Let me know. Pay for your time. Happy to do it," because that's just a form of respect. Because I don't want you to think that
Yeah.
I'm just trying to trick you off for your Gucci because I know you or my friend knows you, because that just looks bad.
Yeah, and ultimately, sometimes you just don't know. Like, sometimes you don't realize that
Mhm.
you're asking a question that has way more in-depth
Yeah.
parts of it to get the response that you need than you realize. That's
Right.
okay. But don't be entitled either. Like, if someone comes back and says, like, I need this extra information, here's a
Mhm.
consult that you can book or whatever, don't be butthurt. That's you got your answer question, your
Yeah.
question answered. Like, that might be the appropriate response. So
Mhm.
sometimes you don't know, and that's also okay. But if you get a response like that, that's not just a straight answer to your question, the other person's not being rude. It's just the appropriate way to respond.
And here's the thing with that also. We most of the time always know the person's heart posture. I can tell when someone is truly just in it. Hey, I know you have the information, you're the resource, give me everything that you know, versus someone who genuinely doesn't know. Because when I can tell it's someone who genuinely doesn't know, I'm going to have patience, I'm going to have grace, I'm going to help you. But if you're just a chaser, you know what I mean? Someone who just wants to be in the scene because of X, Y, and Z, or you want to try to get information, no. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. That's a question that I get a lot too, and I have to figure out a way to navigate it. It's just other makeup artists asking, "Hey, how do you get started? What can I do?" And I understand the ask, but I think what it is with this is these girls think that I have a playbook. I don't have a playbook. How I got started, 2021, I drove a hellacious long time to get to Chattanooga. I had one and a half athletes. I had bikini, and my other half was Alexis eyes. I didn't make any money. I was out. I didn't make money for a long time. And it was just a matter of me putting myself in position. The issue is a lot of people aren't willing to take a risk on themselves. They're not willing to put themselves in position. So they didn't see in 2021 when I had one and a half athlete. All they see now is, oh, she's at the Olympia doing Olympians. And it's like, there was a lot that happened in between. So when you met yourself, how did you get started? I started, and that's with anything in life. You just start and you figure it out. So that's a question that frustrates me a lot because I get it's very niche down, but at the same time, everyone's journey is different. Just kind of like your bodybuilding journey is yours and mine is mine. And so it just really blows my mind. Like y'all really think that I have a playbook. If I did, things would be a little bit different, but whatever.
Yes. And this, like, let's go. So this isn't off onto another little tangent. This is like a vent sesh. I don't know what we're going to name
It's okay.
this. So I know that in the past we have said, like, if you absolutely can't afford makeup, like, at least learn how to do and do
Yeah.
trial runs and do your own makeup on stage. I'm taking that back because I have had far, far, far too many competitors who do their own makeup
Uh-huh.
and do not look good on stage.
I do.
Rarely do you do your own makeup and look good on stage, and that's just the reality.
Mhm.
And hi, I've been there. I've done my own. Amber just told you that she only did my eyes for junior nationals the first time. Like, I wanted to be able to do my own makeup, so I completely understand wanting to have that skill. Most of us do not have that skill. And if you are not trained, you do not have that skill. Also, side note, if you are not trained, you should not be charging other people to do their makeup. That's another thing. That's I've been experiencing that too, and I'm like, no, no. But you go through such a long prep, you need to look good on stage. It is important. It is a bodybuilding beauty pageant. You need to have the entire look. That includes hair and makeup. You cannot have a bomb physique, or you can, I guess, to an extent, and then bad hair and makeup. It looks silly, guys. It definitely, because ultimately the only thing that matters is what's on stage that day at that time when your heels are on the stage. So it does not matter how much you suffered, it does not matter how much it took to peak you, it only matters what you look on stage. So when you go on stage with half of a look, because bad hair and makeup is not a full look, it brings down, one, the sport in general, where it's like, what's going on here? It doesn't look good, guys. And two, it kind of makes you look like you didn't care. And when it comes to competing, and I've talked about like, don't care what other people think of you, except when you're on stage being judged for a bodybuilding show, because that's what we signed up for. It matters what people think and what the judges think, and it doesn't look as professional. So, especially when you're going to the national stage, you need to look like a professional because they're choosing the person who looks most professional to the criteria of that division. So, I can tell you that like in the past when I did my own makeup, did I get by with it? Yes. Did it look as good as when I pay a professional? No. And I will not sacrifice my look on stage again in the future by trying to get by with mine. Now, if I'm in a tight pinch and like they screwed up my time, things ran behind, I get there, it's going to be 45 minutes before I sit in a chair, and that's stressful. I have enough skill that I can throw something on my face.
Right.
But to plan to half ass it, because at that point you're half assing it, but it's better to have something on your face than to not.
Hmm.
But to plan that way, to plan for it to be less than a professional doing it is absolutely silly.
I'll say this, and I've been very clear about it. And I have been getting a bunch of girls who don't have the skill. If you are a makeup girly, if you are someone who loves makeup and you wear makeup in general, you're going to be fine. Like Nadia, she's the Italian women's bodybuilder. I did her consultation with her because she was doing Toronto Pro. She's a makeup girly. She already had a lot of the products that I know and love. So that's like she's already got it. She has the skill. So for me, I'm not having to like teach her from the ground up. If you are someone who does not have the skill whatsoever, I don't recommend it. Even in my stage glam guide, I say it. If you are someone who just doesn't wear makeup, you're not familiar with it, don't do your own show makeup because it's going to hurt you more so than help you. Now, can you learn it? Absolutely. If it's something a skill you just want to learn for sure. But you have to understand you doing your own is always going to look very different than when you are getting a professional to do it. So, especially once you get to that national level, and I get it, I understand. If you got to qualify, that makes sense to me. You want to save your money for, and I've had girls do that where they'll do a consultation with me just so they can qualify, and then they book me for their national show because if I have to choose where I'm going to spend my money, I'm going to spend my money at the national show. So I understand that, but it's just one of those things, y'all. You have to be real with yourself. You got to be real. And if it's not a skill that you have, don't play yourself.
Yes, and that was what I was gonna say. It's the only time it makes any kind of sense to me is at the regional show in that scenario where you just have to qualify and you're not trying to spend money
Mhm.
in every facet. But at the same time, do not compete and put yourself in a hole financially, guys.
Yeah, then there's that.
It's not worth it. Take another 6 months. Take the time because taking time just gives you more time to improve anyway. The off season is way cheaper than a prep, and it always depends on who shows up. So I know competitors who did junior nationals, and like if you're almost there and you can make a few tweaks and do universe 2 weeks later, it makes sense.
Right.
But not if you can't afford it. And typically, if you can't afford it, there's other things in life that are saying it's not time anyway.
Hmm.
Um, so like you're just having to push off to a later show, or maybe even take time off and do it next year, and that's okay. And there's no shame in that. Um, I have I have been the person who did a show, got second, didn't do a show the very next weekend,
Hmm.
and the person who got third to me won their pro card, and I was like,
Not your time. Yeah.
it wasn't my time. If I
Not
had
your
turned
time.
pro then, I wouldn't be where I'm at now, and I truly believe that. But in the moment, it is sucky. It doesn't feel good. Um, not to like keep saying I have been the person, but to reiterate, like we give this advice not talking out of our butts, but because of things that we have experienced already. And the whole point of starting this podcast was to help you guys and
Hmm.
talk about things that a lot of people don't talk about, and they like keep in their back pocket because they think it's a secret that's going to further them forward. And it's not. There's not a whole lot of secrets in bodybuilding. And if there is one, it's your secret and it doesn't affect someone else whether they know it or not.
Right.
And it takes time to realize that too, but
I have one more thing, and we'll end it on this. I got a comment a while ago. I think it was on YouTube. YouTube, yeah. And the girl said, "Oh wow, it makes me feel better seeing how long it took you to get your pro card." And I thought about it. And when we're in it, it feels like it takes forever. But in the name of bikini, I realized no, it didn't. It's hard. If you get it the first try, you are an anomaly. And what I have seen, the girls that get it the first try, they're not ready to be a pro mentally. They're just not meant. You haven't. That's the thing. When you've done so many national shows, you develop. I feel like that is when you develop your pro mindset. Is at that national level when you're doing so many. So I just thought it was interesting that she was saying, "Oh, well, it took you so long, so that makes me feel better." I don't think it took me long. Now that I think about it, I think it took me the appropriate amount of time. It's hard. It's not going to be a one and done situation. You're probably going to have to run it. I feel like the average person is going to have to run it easily at least 3 times. And even still, that's not a long time. The issue is y'all want to rush the process. The thing I've been saying lately is y'all want to Amazon Prime the body, and that's not how it goes. It doesn't work that way. So buckle up. It's going to take you time, and that's okay. And it's not long. We're just impatient. Let's just keep it real. We're impatient.
yeah, and it's hard in the moment when you feel like you're just barely there and
Mhm.
you want to keep going. So it's not as like it's easier said than done sometimes, but with anything in life, sometimes you have to take a step back and it's like this is what I really want. Pause, backtrack. It, can it be done right now?
Right.
Or are there things that would make it better so that once you get it, you are ready?
Yeah. Yeah. Because taking that step back, we don't realize it in the moment, but that most of the time is what pushes you forward. We just can't see it because we're in it. So that's it. We talked a little bit about everything. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I like episodes like this because we can kind of vent, get it off our chest, and give y'all some sound advice for the most part. So, thank you so much for listening. Book Alexis for post, y'all. That's what I forgot to talk about. Then I'm going to let you go. I know you're going to say, Amber, you're just biased. Alexis is such a good posing coach. I knew you were a good posing coach, but I left my session so impressed. I was impressed and proud of my friend. I'm not even kidding. And I meant to text it to you, but I was just like, she's good. I don't think you realize how good you are. And so, like, I'm getting chills, literally getting chills thinking about it. But I was so impressed, y'all. The pointers and the tweaks that she gave me, and I feel like I'm a pretty good poser. But everything she said, I was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. So please book your posing with her. And I've been bad. I haven't been posing, and she ran me, and I realized really quickly my endurance is not what it was. So I am back to practicing my posing like a crazy person, but book your posing with Alexis because I was impressed. All right. And then you can book me for stage clam.
And I am taking both prep and lifestyle clients and off season right now. Because since we have some time, my brain works, so I'm taking them now, and then I'll pull back as far as who I'm adding to my roster probably in the next month or so. So message me if you want to work with me.
Yes, yes, yes. Bikini and wellness, girlies, lifestyle, all the things. All right, y'all. So we'll chat with you next week. Bye bye.
Bye, guys.